Hey, what's going on guys? XD here back again with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about FL Studio 20 versus FL Studio 12 and older versions. I put out a poll on this channel and asked you guys which version you're using. I had 344 votes and 51% of those votes are FL Studio 20 and 49% are FL Studio 12. And in the comments, I saw other guys using FL Studio 10, 11, and even earlier versions. And also in our Facebook group, I did also put in the same poll. A lot more people are using FL Studio 20. Some are using FL Studio 12. So I wanted to talk about this and talk to the people that are not using FL Studio 20, which is the latest FL Studio that is out there, and try and maybe encourage you to upgrade and, try and explain to you exactly why you need to upgrade, because the older versions are not so heavy, they're not so CPU intensive, and they don't need so much RAM, because some of you guys have weaker machines and older machines and you haven't yet upgraded your systems, and I can understand that, and that is all fair. I have no problem with that, and I'm not trying to force you to upgrade. If you're working fine with the version that you have, it is all good. But what I would suggest to you is to upgrade so you don't miss out on new features that the latest FL Studio can offer. This will better your music production and it will also just better your sound. So what they do when they update and release these new versions is that they go and look at the people's comments and people's suggestions and then work from that and try and fix those problems that people have been having with that version, and then they improve them in the next version and also introduce new functions and new things that they can introduce in the next version that will come after that one. So when they add these new functions, their intention is not to make FL Studio much more heavier on your computer, but they're actually trying to make it much more stable and much more easy to use on any computer. There's actually a test, I'm gonna put a link to it down below, where you can actually check a video that another guy did where he compared FL Studio 12 versus FL Studio 20 to see which one actually uses more CPU. And you can actually see that FL Studio 20 works better with CPU than FL Studio 12. So everyone that is saying that FL Studio 12 works better on the machine more than FL Studio 20, they really haven't put it up to the test, or maybe they just haven't set the FL Studio 20 up properly. Because I know a lot of you guys that are using older FL Studios do install a demo of FL Studio 20 and then you try it out and then you figure out, wow, it's really heavy and all that, but you just have to take your time to set it up correctly and it will run smoothly. I've been using FL Studio 20 for a long time and it's been working perfect. From transitioning from 12 to 20, it's been the same, and it hasn't really been a major difference to me. Granted, my computer is also, with good RAM and good CPU, but I'm not sure how it would work with yours. But if you have an older computer, then maybe you might see a slight difference here and there, and that is to be expected. And what I love about FL Studio 20 and the new versions they're always updating, they're making the software more stable, so you don't get so many crashes and so many corrupt projects when you're working with these newer versions. Most of the problems that you're having with the older versions are going to be fixed in the newer versions. So that is another thing to think about when you're trying to upgrade, that you want a much more stable software. You want a much more stable version of FL Studio, and the newer versions will be much more stable. Sometimes you won't notice it, but I promise you it will be much more stable. I use 64-bit because in 64-bit I can use all of my RAM. I have 6 gigs of RAM in my machine. If you're using 32-bit versions of software, you're only using maximum of 3 gigs of RAM. So which means even if you have 8 gigs or 12 gigs, or no matter how many gigs you have, you're always going to be using that 3 gigs on your FL Studio. But if you're using a 64-bit, you can use much more than that. So you can actually have much more power in your FL Studio when you're using it. And that's the good thing with these upgrades, because I think older versions didn't have a 64-bit version of FL Studio. So you might actually have a 64-bit processor on your computer, but then you cannot use that 64-bit in FL Studio because you're still stuck in the older FL Studio. So these are things to think about when you're trying to stick to the same FL Studio and you're afraid to transition into FL Studio 20. I'm not pushing you to upgrade to FL Studio 20, but I'm just trying to point out the factors in the benefits of upgrading to FL Studio 20. A good thing about FL Studio is that we have a community of producers that we are trying to work with, that we're trying to collaborate with. I put out a Finish My Beat competition, and a lot of you guys are complaining that you cannot open the project file because most of you are using an older version than the one that I'm using, which is the latest release. And that is a problem that you will face if you're not always up to date with the versions, because now some people are using the most latest versions and you want to collaborate and work together, but it's just going to complicate the whole process if you're not up to date with these versions. So that's another thing. But then you need to also look for people that are using the same version you're using, so that you create a community, and if you're a fan of that one version and you want to stick to it for life, that is you. That is not a problem at all. If you want more help with FL Studio and tips and all that, I'm going to put a link in the description to our Facebook group. You can join that and you can talk to other producers and hear what they think, and you can get feedback from other producers, and you can get help as well in that group. So if you have any questions about FL Studio 20, if you want to know more about that, you can leave your comments down below. I hope this highlights why you might want to upgrade to FL Studio 20 and stay up to date with these versions of FL Studio. I'm gonna check you guys out in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. I'm X and I'm out. Peace.